Hello there. Hello, we are back, and today we are talking about what is junk food. So, we're in a series of lessons called Outsmart Big Food, Fast Food, and Junk Food. And I really want the kids to understand what big food is, what fast food is, and junk food is kind of overlapping with both of those concepts. So, I was thinking, what does a kid think when they want to get a bag of candy or a bag of chips and they're told, oh no, don't get that, don't eat that, that's junk food? A little kid doesn't necessarily know what that means. So, in this lesson, I really want you to understand what that means and how to explain it to your kids. And all it really means is that the food doesn't have very many nutrients for the body. It tastes great, looks nice, but it really won't support health or it won't help build healthy bodies. And that's all it really means. Um, that I want kids to be able to spot junk food. So if they are at a fast food restaurant or they're choosing which fast food restaurant to go to, or they're picking something from the grocery store for a snack, they'll be able to spot the difference between a junk food and a healthy food. And again, all it really means is that the food doesn't have very many vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates, healthy carbohydrates, proteins, fats, healthy fats, and it doesn't have any nutrients or very little nutrients that will support your kid's body. So I think it's really important that we start the conversation on what junk food is so that when we tell our kids at the birthday party with, these beautiful cupcakes with bright blue frosting, don't eat that. That's junk food. Don't eat too many of those. That's junk food. Oh, no, don't have that bag of chips. Oh, no, you can't have that. That's junk food. That the kids aren't sitting there wondering what that is and why they can't have it. I know that I have experienced this with my own kids. My kids love candy. They love it. And they want to know why they can't have it all the time. They love soda. They want to know why they can't have it all the time. And I have to explain to them, you can have it. I want you to know what you're having. A lot of sodas have artificial colors, they have chemicals, they have a lot of sugar. There's nothing else in it except for those things. Uh, and that makes them stop and think, well, okay, well, I still want it. All right, great. You still want it? Okay, that's what you are going to be drinking. Now let's compare that with, say, a glass of orange juice or a glass of milk or something else. And then, I'll go over what's in the orange juice and all the vitamins and minerals that they're going to get and how it's going to make their bones strong with all the calcium. What's in milk, how that's going to support them being healthy. And, this is a conversation that's ongoing. It doesn't happen right away. And kids don't get it right away or they don't care right away. But the more you talk about it and just kind of weave this into your daily conversations when your kids are picking foods, it really does stick and they really do get it. And kids want to be healthy. They naturally want to be healthy and strong and fast and powerful. And starting the conversation about how food can make that happen for them really makes a difference and it really works. So, here in this slide, this just depicts a few typical junk foods that we have. And like I said, if you want to have a donut, but make sure your kids know what's in the donut and how that's different than what's in a slice of whole wheat bread or what's in some other kind of treat. If they want to have fried foods, just let them know what's in it. Candy's lovely. I love candy, but there's not a lot of nutrients in candy. All these kinds of conversations had over time really start to make a difference for kids. And then they really feel powerful because they aren't being told, oh, no, you can't have that because it's junk food. They understand what that means now. And they'll say, oh, well, well, that's okay. I still want that bag of Skittles or that bag of gummy bears or whatever it might be. But they'll know, okay, well, I don't want to eat this all the time. It's not going to help me to grow big and strong and fast and powerful, but I'm going to have it now. I'm just going to make sure that I have healthy foods as well today. So, when I teach my kids about what junk food is and why it's not off limits, but it's something that I want them to notice and it's something that I want them to start to think about. I show them pictures like this and I ask them, what do you notice about the food in these pictures? And we go over how they have little nutritional value. Very little nutritional value. There's not a lot of lean protein. There's not a lot of complex carbohydrates that are healthy for you. Not a lot of vitamins. Not a lot of minerals. And oftentimes, junk food has a lot of salt, a lot of fat, a lot of sugar, and a lot of chemicals, which is a particular issue for me. I don't like chemicals in food. A lot of preservatives, a lot of fillers. We need to make these foods a lot of times shelf stable so they can be shipped all over the world and sit on the shelf until you buy them, that kind of thing. So, junk food has little nutritional value and a lot of unhealthy things in it sometimes. So that's just something to keep in mind. I found this graphic that I showed my kids, and they really responded to it. It's from Healthy World, and it shows one body that's filled with fried foods and foods with fillers and sodas and all kinds of things, and then it showed another body with lean proteins, fruits and vegetables, and how these bodies are built. So you can either build your body on fresh foods that will make you healthy, or you can build your body on junk foods, which will make you less healthy. I loved how this told us that every 35 days, your skin replaces itself and your liver replaces itself, its cells within a month. And every organ in your body replaces its cells on an ongoing basis. And the food you eat is the number one fuel that it uses for that process to rebuild itself. And so, what you eat really is what you are and what's in your cells and how good your body's going to feel and how good your body's going to work. And when I showed this to my kids and explained that to them, I saw the light go off in their heads, and I really want you to show your kids this as well, so the lights go off in their heads and they start to think, well, maybe I'll choose, some strawberries and a kiwi instead of pizza tonight. Is pizza bad? Absolutely not. A pizza can be very healthy. A pizza can be very unhealthy. It depends on what the ingredients are. And in the next lessons in this course, we're going to be going over ingredients and what's in food and what food is and where it comes from. There's a very big difference between a pizza dough that has been filled with preservatives and fillers and a pizza dough that's made from scratch and only has a few ingredients in it. And I really want kids to start thinking about that. So this is a great graphic to show them to get them starting to think about that. What I ask them is this a whole food? Where does this come from? Is this a growing food? And really always ask them where the food comes from. And when they say the grocery store, that's an awesome place to start, but then go back and say, okay, before the grocery store, where did it come from? And I guarantee you, 100% of the time, you'll get back to plants and animals, and plants and animals, and plants and animals. And that is the only place that food comes from. Once you take it from the plant or the animal, there's all kinds of things that can happen to it before you eat it and it goes into your body. And what we learn here at Sizzle Kids is the closer you are to the original form of the food, the original plant or the original animal, the healthier it's going to be, and the stronger it's going to make you, and the more powerful you're going to feel, and you're going to feel better with whole foods versus junk foods. Um, all of these foods in this slide here show processed foods. Now, every single one of these foods, sorry, I'm going to take that back. Not every single one of these foods. A lot of these foods came from plants or animals and were processed to the point of what they are in this picture. And I want kids to just start to think about the spectrum where it starts from a plant or an animal and it goes through various processes to get to become a French fry or to get to become a donut or a piece of candy. There's also chemicals in food these days, and we're going to go over what those are as well and how to spot those so that you can outsmart them. But I want kids to start on this spectrum, start thinking about this spectrum from food comes from plants and animals, and it goes through very little processing or a lot of processing to what they're actually eating, and they can start to picture this in their heads. So we want to aim for this. Sometimes we get to this. We can make a choice which one we want to be. Sometimes we're going to choose junk food, and that is okay once in a while. junk food is kind of like, the shiny toy at the store that you buy, and it's so cool and it's so good looking and it's so fun, and then you take it home, and after playing with it for 10 minutes it falls apart and breaks and gets shoved under the bed, and you never play with it again, and it's just ruined. That's kind of how junk food is, that it looks really good and it smells really good and it tastes really good, but once it's in your body, not only does it not help your body to grow and to replenish itself in those 35 days for your skin, or the month for your liver, or any other amount of time for all the parts of your body, it can do harm as well, especially the chemicals, the high sugar, the high fat, the high salt contents of some of these processed junk foods. So, again, I want kids to be looking at the spectrum, right? Food starts with plants and animals. It can end up as a junk food. Anywhere in between is going to be is going to different foods are going to fall in between, but I just want your kids to start to think about it and know where the foods that they're choosing fall on that spectrum. And I really want them to know it's their choice, right? What you put in your mouth is one of the few choices that kids have, and parents have such influence over this and how they talk about food and how you present food, and the choices that you give and how you teach kids about it. So instead of saying, don't eat that, that's a junk food, and leaving it there, explain why. Explain the spectrum that I just explained, which is that all food comes from plants and animals, and it goes through processes until it gets to you. Uh, and the kids can start to have power over their own food choices, and they can decide to eat closer to the whole food spectrum like here, or they can make a choice to have a junk food now and then, and either one is fine and is okay as long as they know what they're doing, and it will set them up for a lifetime of being able to look at food not just as this mindless thing that you eat what you like all the time, and what tastes good and what's amazing smelling, or whatever it might be. And you start to think about, well, okay, I'd really love to have a donut, but instead I'm going to have this orange, and I'm going to sprinkle some coconut on it and make it a really sweet, fun treat. But it's really going to be healthier for me. And I guarantee you that over time, your kids will start making these choices and start thinking this way themselves if you present it to them this way: whole foods, junk foods. This is what we mean by junk food. Um, they'll they'll become so empowered to make their own choices about their food. So this whole series of lessons, what is big food, what is fast food, what is junk food, that's it. This is all meant to just kind of make a small shift for you and your kids on how you talk about food and where it comes from and what it is and what it isn't. And we're going to talk in the next lesson about where food comes from. And we dig down deep. We go deep. We go back to hunter gatherers. We go into plants and animals and the land and where food comes from. And it's really interesting. So I can't wait to see you there. And I'll see you there.